I thought I would show you what I'm doing today. Now, I didn't do a instructional video, and the reason I didn't do this instructional video is I didn't know what I was doing. So I had to come up with a way to paint a two-color stencil for these numbers. I'm not sure whether John had hand painted his. It kind of looks like it on the web, but I wanted to spray mine and get them perfect. So I laid the stencil down and I picked it out where I thought that I could make it work like I did here. This is not going to work. I'm going to have to change that. For the simple fact is that this tan color paint that goes around the red is going to be too light. If I paint this red and then come back and put the tan color over it, it would be a different color. And I don't believe that it would cover very well. So I am going to make a new stencil in the way that I made this stencil. Oh, we got a problem here. I missed a spot. Good thing I stopped and I saw that. So what I'm going to do is we're going to retape this, and you'll get to see how I did this. Well, anyway, what I did was I laid the first stencil down and I painted the red. Then I laid a second stencil down and I tried to cover the red. Well, I couldn't do that either. So I had to individually lay each one of these letters down by hand. So I took the letter off the stencil and laid it down directly over the red so that it would be perfect. And it is. Which is amazing. So let's I mixed this brown light tan color paint I took some green that I had and some red, and I made a deep brown, and I poured white into this, and I started adding brown until I got the color that I wanted, because John sent me his pictures of his airplane, and I just kept adding the brown until I had the correct amount, until it was brown enough. So now we have to paint this number 6. The inside. Boy, I'm glad I saw that. This ordeal has taken a couple of days to figure out. I spent probably, I don't know, 3 hours on the computer last night trying to figure out how to get these stencils to register, because I had never done something like this. And there might be an easier way to do it. I don't know it. But we don't care if it's easy. We just care is it perfect. As I stated on the forum, I talked to Dave Matheson again today. Super nice guy, Matheson. I don't see the problem with drones going away, so everybody's going to have to learn to like it. Just the way it is. If we come up with some valid ideas on, because I think the rate is ridiculous too. It's just like these guys are trying to figure out laws for drones. Well, it's kind of like gun laws. Criminals don't pay attention to gun laws. So these guys that go buy a drone off the internet, they're not going to pay attention to AMA rules or so we have, got to make sure I got this right. I have that stencil on there. I do. I think I caught it, you know. I think I caught it. Well, that would have been a disaster. Yeah. The number 13 on the fuselage and on the wing, I wasted about, I don't know, 5 foot of masking material, cutting different masks, trying different ways to do it. The big 13, which I'm going to have to recut those stencils again because it's not going to work the way that we had it. So let's just wait a minute and shoot another coat on it and remask it. You see what I mean? It took all day to mask this out and to figure it out, and 2 seconds to paint it. And that's it. So we can continue to demask. Okay, my scalpel went where? Oh, here it is. The best way to do these stencils, because it's so big, is to cut it at the apex of the turn. And possibly the corners, like where I'm going to be right now, the 2. We're going to cut that right there. I will show how I did it on the next video, because now I got it figured out. And so far it looks like it's going to be pretty nice. Tom Morris called today. He'll be selling my Armsit switches for you electric guys. That'll be one more product in Stun Hanger Hobby. wish this thing had a bunch of panel lines. We could really ink in some detail, but it doesn't. It has like 3. And John suggested that I don't put them on, but I'm going to put them on anyway. More detail, the better. I guess the idea is, if you can't do it perfect, best not to have it on. Well, my thing is, do it perfect. And these letters came out perfect so far. Knock on wood. These are stencils I cut on my sign plotter that I did a review on. If I didn't have my own sign plotter, I probably wouldn't do it this way. Alright. So far so good. Let's see what they look like. This is the line that I almost missed inside this circle. Fortunately, caught it. I'm real happy with it. Real happy. It looks real good in person. And it's very hard to do. We'll wait a couple hours and I'll card it off, and that'll be that. Now I'm going to go cut some stencils for the 16 there, but as you can see, it's very attractive. I like that a lot. It's hard to get the detail of the 2-color letter because it's not real contrasting. See if we can turn it a little better. I noticed that I got a spot here on a fillet that's starting to bubble up. That means that I'm going to have to dig that down. Dig all the way down to the wood and put in some superfill or something. I don't understand why that fillet's bubbling there. I must have too much paint. Fortunately, it's only about ½ inch long. Another thing you can do for that is dig into it and fill it with CA. But here again, these airplanes are judged 15 foot away. Who's going to see that at 15 foot? But we'll make it perfect. So anyway, that's what I'm doing when I do the other side. Well, I'm about ready to tear my hair out. I guess I need to just take a break. I've been working on this too long. I did a wonderful job getting this on. I gotta sand it off. It's not on right. what I mean by that is I did this stunt thing and I followed the trailing edge of the flap. According to the drawings, I should have went straight. It's off by an inch. It's so noticeable after standing back and looking at it. Makes me sick. I'm going to have to sand all this off and repaint this wing. And the problem is I did it, the job's perfect. It's absolutely perfect, except it's on wrong. So talk about pulling my hair out, what's left of it. This thing's been a pain in the ass. I sure hope it turns out good. I'll take this tape off the canopy and see how bad it looks. Okay, it's not in bad shape. Didn't get any overspray on it, so it's starting to roll up. It's been on so long, I better get it off of there. So that's where I'm at. One mistake after another on this airplane. I guess it takes more than one scale plane to get good at it. I don't know. This scale business might be harder than I thought. So, I'll cut the camera, and I'm sure we'll see in a day or so when I get this all sanded off. I'll sand it down until it's smooth, dust some primer on it, and shoot some paint on it, wait for a day, and then put it back on. God, I'm aggravated. Just totally aggravated. You know, looking at it and trying to figure out it ain't going to change the fact that it's an inch off. But I did think of an easier way to do things. I think that it would be best to paint the light tan first instead of going back over and outlining it. And then paint the red on. So, not all is lost. So we'll see in short. I'll go ahead and load this up and make you aware of my mistake, which is an absolute bummer. Because like I said, it turned out really good. Okay, even though I made a mistake on the N26C, I have to sand it off and repaint it. I'm going to give it another day waiting, but I thought I'd show you what I've come up with on how to paint the number 16 on the shoestring. So the first thing I did was I cut the stencil on my sign plotter, and I have, if you're going to build this model, I can send you the plotted file so that you can do all these decals, and that includes everything, the Aero Industries, Rochester, New York, and just everything. All the correct markings for this airplane. I sat down and I've made up all the correct stencils. So we got the stencil on there, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot the red on there. This is a Chinese red. This is about the hardest the hardest lettering job I've ever done. That includes the Thunderbolt, because there's so much backmasking and reverse masking on this. And you say, well, what do you mean? Well, we're going to show you, or I'm going to show you. So we get a nice base coat of red down. We'll be waiting 10 minutes probably for this to dry. Then I'm going to backmask it. Ooh, got a little heavier with the paint. Remember, if these videos are helping you, be sure to like and subscribe. I also have a fundraiser going. I know times are tough. Okay, there's our red. It's all covered real good. And we'll let it dry for 10 minutes or so. And then we're going to come back and backmask it. And you wonder, well, how the heck are you going to backmask that? Well, I'm going to show you. So we'll see you in a bit. Okay, we've waited the allotted amount of time. This is dry. What I did was I took the center out of the stencil. Now I've wasted a lot of material trying to figure out how to do this the best way possible, and tried it several different ways by cutting 2 stencils, registering it, laying the second one down. But the best way I've come up with is just using 1 stencil, saving what I removed, then we're going to put it back exactly where it was. And that way we know that it's exact. It's a little tricky. Yeah, a little off. Like I said, there's probably a better way to do this. I just don't know it. So we put that one down. Now we got this big one. This big one's going to be hard to get down. Pick a spot to register it with, and I think that would probably be a good spot right there. Remember, the more time you take getting this stuff exactly right, the better the end product's going to look. You can't just throw it on there and say, well, we're done. Or you can, but you won't be happy. And as I stated, I just don't know any other way to do this. I'm sure that a sign painter of using today's materials could tell me. But back when I was painting signs, everything was cut and paste, done on a light board. You'd cut all these things out by hand. So I figure that I should be able to get this on here relatively well. It's all in the prep work, it's not in the painting. Best way to do this would have been a decal. Put it on and clear over it. But I don't feel comfortable with decals doing it like that. Bill Granderson could accomplish it. I don't think I could get a decal this big to lay down flat. Bill's airplanes are done all decals and they're kind of cool. Can't have any bubbles or ups, or it's all got to be laying down. And of course I've stretched it so we have a spot there and a spot here. So how will we fix that? Well, we'll fix it by trimming it. Trim it with I might get another center because the glue's off of that center. It's not sticking very well. Guess I can trim it there. Okay, so I backmasked this. I've got a couple pick marks in it, so I've got to make sure to get that covered up. I know you're probably saying, boy, that's nuts, that's crazy. Well, it's the only way I know how to do it. And I don't care how long it takes, just as the end result going to be perfect. Boy, I sure am upset with myself for not getting the other side on straight. I haven't done it yet, but I have to sand it all off. Shoot it yellow again. Chartreuse. You know what? I think I'll get another center, because this center just is not sticking very well. We'll just paint it. Take our chances. So now you have to pick out the the centers or the stripe that we're going to paint. And pray you don't poke through the cut in the covering. So far, so good. Should be pretty evident where we're going with this now. And the hardest part is figuring out how to get this off without poking a hole in the covering. So the only thing that you didn't see was the dry time. About 10 minutes longer than the video is running. Finally got it. There's just nowhere to pick it. Fine. Well, I can see we're going to have an issue here. I'm going to have an issue right here because it's, yeah, it ain't that big a deal. Okay. So now I'm going to switch up to the sandalwood color that I mixed up. And we're going to shoot this. And you think, well, God, that's a lot of trouble for not much of a color change. Well, you're right. But that's how the real airplane is. And that's what we're going to do. Almost forgot that center circle again. But like twice now. Okay, that's it. Didn't take long to do that, so we'll be back in about 10 minutes when it dries, and we'll pull all the mask up. So we'll see in a bit. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. Let's pick her up and see how I did. This is the funnest part of building model airplanes to me, is the detailing. And if you're watching this on the forum and you know of a better way to do this, please let me know, because this is very difficult for me to do. And I hope this is right. Looks right. And I'll come back in a few hours and cart it off and get all the flashing off of it. But it turned out really nice. So that's how I figured out how to paint these 16s. And as I said, if you know a better way, don't be afraid to tell me on the forum, because I'm open for anything that's easier. I mean, this wasn't real difficult, but I don't know how long we've spent here. I think the biggest thing that got me was putting that number on crooked, knowing that I'm going to have to sand that off and refinish that area and then reapply it. Now, if this were a stunt plane, I wouldn't worry about it. But seeing as it how Jack Sheiks and all the rest of the scale guys, we look at it like, oh, you got that on wrong, though. I even I made up another set of stencils for the rudder here. Now you think, well, they're already on there. Well, that's the first go around. The reason that they're not painted yet is I made up another set of stencils, and that'll be the next thing to do. The stencils that I made will index them perfectly. So we're going to take that off. I'll put my new stencils on. It'll be indexed perfectly to the picture. That way nobody can say, well, you're off a little bit there. No. And I'll show you the mistake on the wing. Now you see that on the wing, and it looks okay, but it ain't on right. It should be straight from tip to tip, so it's leaning back with the trailing edge. It's not correct, so that's we'll be fixing that. I'll probably start on that tomorrow, sanding that off and repainting and fix that. The canopy needs to be resanded so we can clear it, and I still have to take the tape off around it. There's a lot of work to these scale planes, more than you think, if you want it perfect. And that's what we're going to have when I'm done. So I'm going to load this up, and we'll see you in a short. Tie lines.